us today. I'm just hearing about the fire in Oakland, where so far they've found 30 people dead, and I understand that it was a party in a warehouse, and so I'm guessing a lot of young people went out to party that Saturday night last night and never made it home, and my heart grieves for the families. But more importantly, I want to talk to you about how not to become a victim, because I believe in my heart that had some of these victims known how to not be a victim, obviously they would not be dead right now. I understand that there was just the one wooden staircase that led to the event, to the venue, which was on the second floor. And so I'm going to just tell you a couple of things because it is the holiday season, and I was young too. And when I was young and I was in the world, I went out partying. It was what we did. And young people will tell you today, this is what we do. You turn up. And so you can't, if your kids, and especially if they're over the legal age, if they make a decision that this is what they want to do, it's pretty hard to say, no, you can't do it, especially if they're not living in your household. So all I can do as a person who really sincerely cares about you is tell you how to avoid becoming a victim. So I want to start with the Oakland fire. If you're going to a party and you see there is only one exit and it's a very narrow exit, or it's just, in the case of the Oakland party, it was just the one wooden staircase going down, I suggest that you spend the majority of the evening closest to the exit as possible, especially if the event is very crowded. When I used to go to clubs, I don't anymore, but when I was in the world and I used to go to clubs, sometimes the place would be so thick you couldn't even move, much less dance. And that's an accident waiting to happen. I'll never forget the event at City College many, many, many years ago, which I was at. It was in the 90s, and it got a lot of publicity because 9 people died trying to get out of a stairwell. And they got suffocated because other people trampled over them to get themselves out. And so you want to bear in mind that if an event gets that tight, you're not going to have much fun anyway. The best thing to do is to leave before anything breaks out, because not only do you have the element of danger should a fire break out, but should a fight break out or should shooting break out, and it does happen. This is not something that, I have to add sensation to. It's a fact. People go to parties, they get high, they get drunk, they start fighting, they start shooting. You stepped on my toe. Somebody has to prove that they're the bigger man, or the baddest chick at the party, or whatever the case may be. Or it could just be the elements, the combination of the alcohol and the drugs that give a lot of people courage, and they want to fight. So you don't want to be around that, because a bullet doesn't have a name. And God forbid the party gets out of control. There are people who are going to be more concerned with getting themselves out than with whether or not they step over you or hurt you or injure you or kill you, because they're concerned with themselves. Secondly, easy on the alcohol and avoid the drugs altogether. I speak from experience. When I used to party, I got what we call crunk, because I didn't just drink, I was high and drunk. So I used to love weed, and I'd smoke it until I was totally twisted. And then when I got to wherever the party was, I would drink. because there was a bar, and I would drink, and then sometimes I'd smoke more weed. And so that combination has you off balance because you're not really alert. You're not that aware, especially with the alcohol. And I'm not giving weed a pass because the weed used to just make me want to fall asleep. In some clubs, I'd wind up by 2, 3 in the morning. I was in a corner somewhere nodding off because the weed had me that crunk. So between the weed and the alcohol, I'd be asleep. So if a fire broke out, guess who wasn't going to make it out? Because I was already sleeping. And smoke inhalation will kill you quicker than getting burned. Because at least, and I'm not saying that it's okay to get burned, but at least if you do get burned, you can still, if you're alert, you can still try to get out. So you may get out with a little bit of burns, but at least you're alive. With smoke inhalation, there is there's no chance. Once it engulfs your lungs, you're gone, you're dead. The other thing is, do you really have to go? Think about things, because God gives us the power of discernment in things. So when people invite you places, consider where you're going and ask yourself, do I really need to be at this? I understand. Like I said, I know you want to have fun, but there are other ways to have fun. And during this time in our history, I personally think that you should try to have as much fun as at home as possible, as opposed to going out to places to have fun. Number one, there's no guarantee you're going to have fun when you get there. You're assuming it's going to be fun because your friends are going, and maybe you're going to get, turn up before you get there, and so you're thinking that all those elements are going to guarantee that you have a good time. At least back in the day when we used to sit around and decide to go to a party or a club, the first thing we did is we wanted to be sure we had money for liquor, and then who's got the weed, and everybody, contributed to the elements that we assumed would guarantee that we were going to have a great night. The problem with that is if you're driving and you're also participating in turning up and getting high, then you've already introduced another element of danger. I remember I had every year around this time I put up one of my favorite memes, and it shows two people driving in a car, and the license plate says "Honk if you love Jesus," and then underneath it says "Text while driving if you want to meet him." So I say that also, drink while driving if you want to meet him, because the combination of alcohol, and this is why the police are so alert when people are driving erratically, because they're going to find out if you're drunk. So if you don't kill yourself and all your passengers, or wind up in a wheelchair or some other result of your getting in an accident, you will probably go to jail, because the police are serious about this. You should not be on the road endangering yourself or other people if you've had alcohol or drugs or both. Also, don't get in the car with someone who's been drinking. A lot of times when you're out socializing and you meet people and you want to take the party to the next level, if that person offers you a ride and they're not, if they're incapacitated, then you want to either suggest that they come back the next day for their car, and you guys take a cab, or if you're driving and you're coherent, then you drive to the next destination, or don't go. Don't go. And you try and get them not to go as well, but if they insist on going, then there's nothing you can do. The other thing is, be aware of your surroundings going to and from places. And this is just, however, wherever you are, look and see who's getting close to you. Because it may not be because they want to get to know you. They may be, we used to say back in the day, clocking you. They may be looking to see how they can rob you or do some other type of crime to you. So you want to be careful of that. Just recently, myself, the other day, I went to the bank, and whenever I have to go to the bank and get cash, I call a car service. One, because I am disabled, so it's more convenient for me than having to try to manipulate the bus steps or I can't even take the train because of my disability, but I can take the bus, but it requires a lot for me to get up on the bus, and most people don't want to wait for grandma to get on the bus because I'm slow. So before I tell you the story I was going to tell you, let me just say that something funny. When I used to take the train before my legs got so bad that I couldn't manipulate the stairs, I would walk very slowly down the train steps because I was in pain. My condition is very painful. And so I was doing this one day, I think I was in Brooklyn, and this young girl was behind me on her cell phone, and she said, "Oh my God, this woman, she's taking so long. I can't believe this old lady in front of me." And so I turned around and I looked at her and I said, "Sweetie, you could walk around me." And I don't know how she thought I didn't hear her, because all of a sudden she became so apologetic and she was like, "Oh, miss, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't know you could hear me." Are you kidding? So I'm saying to you that, be conscious of your surroundings. The other day, when I was going to the bank, I called the car service, and I had I actually called my regular driver, because I have a few drivers that I use often because they help me. And they help me with my packages, and they do good service. And so I'd rather give my money to people that I feel deserve it. And so I had my driver Edgar come and get me, and he pulls up in front of the bank, and these two gentlemen come out of nowhere, and one of them holds the door for me. He's smiling, and the other one, they both wait until I go in. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, that's nice, some young people with manners. And so I go over to the ATM and I'm doing my transaction, but I can see from the glare in the window that these two are not doing any transactions. They're just standing there. And there are other ATMs available. There's like 6 in this bank. So I didn't pay it too much attention because I was busy looking at my money and making sure, I was doing what I had to do. But I had, in my peripheral, I was paying attention to the degree that had they came closer, I would have been, aware of it. The other thing is that Edgar was watching everything from outside the bank in the car, because that's what he does. Because he knows my routine. Usually if I call him, he knows I'm going to the bank. And so he watches me because he feels that that's part of his job. And it's not, actually. He's the driver. But I pay him really good because he does that and because of the things he does for me. So these guys, when I got finished, here they're at the door again, holding it for me. And this time they walk out with me. So immediately I'm thinking, oh, they're gonna try something slick. I already know. But because Edgar was standing outside of the truck and he was watching them, I said, let me just give him a heads up so that these guys know that don't even try, because I'm not alone. Because I don't think they saw me get out of the truck. So I said, "Oh, Edgar, don't worry, I can get myself in." And they disappeared. All of a sudden, they weren't beside me. So had I not been aware and alert, and and like I said, I'm disabled. So that right there tells people, oh, target, because I'm on the cane. And they probably figure, we could snatch her purse and run, and she can't run after it. And it's true. I would just be out of whatever they got. But I take precautions because of that, because I know my limitations. So those of you old people out there and people who you have limitations, don't go places where you're spending money or getting money or showing money by yourself. Take someone with you. If you have a home attendant, then that's part of their job to escort you places. Even if you got to pay the neighborhood kid or somebody that you know could use a couple of extra dollars. If you can trust them, pay them to go with you. It's worth being out of pocket for whatever it costs you to be safe. And that's what I do. And I'm not saying everyone is bad, but it is the holiday season, and criminals, they buy gifts too, and they have families, and so it's not unlikely that these bad guys are out there looking for money so that they can have a happy holiday. Doesn't make it right. But this is what they do. A person who is a stick-up kid, this is what they do. And so they're going to be on their job. And their job is to find victims. The other thing is, I strongly suggest, male or female, again, when you're out and you're socializing and you meet people, just because you met them doesn't mean you know them. Some people don't even give you their real names. So I, for one, do not bring strangers into my house. And I suggest, male or female, don't go home with people you don't know, and don't bring them to your home. And even if you're a guy, there are bad chicks out there. I knew a girl when I was young that she would set guys up to be robbed. She was a very pretty girl, and rest of the dead, she's dead now because someone killed her. And that's the repercussions of that lifestyle. But she would go out, and she'd look good, dress up nice and everything, and she would lure guys to where she told them she lived, which it wasn't. And once they got to the location, the guy would get robbed. And sometimes the guy got shot, depending on what they put up a fight. And that's the next point I want to bring. If you find that you are in a situation and it's a choice between giving up your valuables or possibly getting hurt or maybe even killed, give them up. Just give them up. It's really easy to get your identification now. In New York City, we can get our ID online. You don't even have to go down to the DMV anymore. You can get your New York State ID online. So make a copy of it or make a notation of what the ID number is. So if you lose it or to a robbery or just lose it to carelessness, you can go online, you pay the fee, they send it to you. No hassle. Same thing with your Social Security card, your birth certificate, all the stuff you can get online now. So don't worry about it. Money comes, money goes. It doesn't matter how much money they get. You can get money again. If you're alive, you can get money again. So you have to think to yourself, is this worth dying for? No, it's not. Jewelry, it's not worth dying for. All the jewelry I wear is fake, by the way. They have some great looking fake jewelry that it blings just like the real thing. Unless you're an expert, you can't even tell that it's not real. So let the idiot run off with the fake jewelry. Who cares? At least you're alive. Last but not least, because I'm sure there's more, I'm sure a lot of you will have more to add, and I encourage you to add it in the commentary so that people who watch the video and read the comments can see ways to keep themselves safe. But in terms of my summation, last but not least, I want to say you are the company you keep. So maybe you need new friends if you find that every time you go out with this group, something jumps off, something pops off. That's not a party. That's not having a good time. You don't want to be out with people who look for trouble. You don't want to be out with people who get so turned up that they wind up in trouble all the time. You just don't want to do it. These are not friends because they don't even care about themselves. So you know they don't care about you. And that's pretty much what I have to say. This is pretty emotional for me because I'm still thinking about those victims in California, and I'm sad. I'm sad. It oh my goodness. I'm gonna pray. Lord, in the name of Jesus, I pray for the families of those victims in the Oakland fire at that warehouse. I pray that the survivors will be able to recover mentally and be able to go on with their lives. And I also pray that they will acknowledge your mercy in that they were spared, because no one knows, who's going to be a victim and who's not. Many are called, but the chosen are few. So help them to acknowledge that it is only by grace that they did not die as well. And perhaps this will, encourage some of them to turn to you, Lord. That's my hope, and to learn to do other activities that don't attract danger, or not and not wind up being sitting ducks. Lord, you asked us and you gave us discernment, the power and the ability to figure out things and to make wise choices. So I pray that they will use this discernment and avoid danger. And Lord, just keep the young people safe. I pray that, Lord. And I thank you. I thank you sincerely. I thank you for the subscribers. I thank you for those who check in. I thank you for the ability to make these presentations, Lord. And I thank you for the covering you have put over me and kept me safe, Lord. In Jesus' mighty name.